All right, everybody, welcome to the Norristown Area School District Special Meeting for July 2026. Please be aware that the Norristown Area School District Board of School Directors will be recording this meeting, and notice shall be placed of the recording on the agenda. Notice of intent to record a meeting shall be given to the public before the start of each meeting being recorded to avoid disruption of the meeting. The opinions expressed by any member of the public do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Norristown Area School District Board of School Directors and are solely those of the presenter. The Norristown Area School District Board hereby expressly disclaims any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public. Any unauthorized rebroadcasting of any video, audio, and/or still image of this meeting is strictly forbidden without the written permission of the Norristown Area School District Board of School Directors. Mrs. DeMayo, may we please have a roll call?
Mr. Alexander.
Here.
Mr. Caldwell.
Here.
Mr. Dale.
Mr. Dale.
Mr. Dale.
Mr. Dale.
Mr. Daniels.
Mr. Daniels.
Ms. Helmont.
Here.
Ms. Helmont.
Here.
Here.
Ms. Parker. Ms. Davenport.
Here.
Mr. Lemke.
Miss Monk is on.
Yeah.
She is. I'm not sure why. I could not hear her.
All right, before we jump in, want to read our quote from Sidney Brown, Norristown Area High School student. Says this: every decision you make at this table impacts students. We may not always be sitting at the table, but we are the reason this table exists. Just want to have that in our mind as we discuss and tend to the business this morning, this evening. Before we begin, we're going to take a moment of silence to reflect, pray, or ponder so that our attention may be focused and we may steward well the business of the children that is before us. All right, let's stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to switch the order a little bit. Before we give opportunity for public comments, I'm going to ask Peter Amuso, our solicitor that's present here, to be able to give the public a rundown of the legal process that got us to this point that we're at today, just so everybody's acutely aware and understanding exactly what's happening and what's not happening here this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Lemke. Yes, we're having this special meeting tonight for one reason and one reason alone, and that is to comply with a court order to issue a charter to the Norristown Academy Charter School. This is a process that began almost 8 years ago now. In 2018, the Norristown Academy Charter School submitted a charter application in conformance with the charter school law. We conducted a hearing as required under the law in the summer of 2018. Shortly after our hearing, Norristown Academy withdrew their application. Then later that year, they submitted a second application. We conducted a hearing for that second application, and during that hearing, Norristown Academy Charter School withdrew that application during the hearing. Then finally, in November of 2019, again, in compliance with the charter school law and the deadline set therein, Norristown Academy Charter School submitted a third application. We conducted a hearing in compliance with the law, and the board considered many things. I know the administration had reviewed the application in detail, and the board voted to deny that application. There were concerns about the curriculum. There were concerns about the facility. There were a lot of concerns about the finances. Norristown Academy Charter School is or will be a nonprofit institution. However, as permitted by law, they are have a contract with a company called CSMI, which is a for-profit entity to really do most of the management of the school. There was some concerns, a lot of concerns about the arm's length nature of the relationship and really the cost. The fees that CSMI are charging is very high. So the district noted all those problems and denied the charter. And again, in compliance with the law, Norristown Academy Charter School opted to submit a revised application, which is allowed under the law. The district dutifully and in detail considered that application. When you submit a revised application, you don't have to have a hearing. So we did not have a hearing, but I know I work closely with the administration, particularly Dr. Williams, in reviewing the revised application. We checked carefully to say, okay, in our initial denial, we raised these issues, how they have addressed those issues. And they had addressed some of the issues, but they still had the financial issues. There were still curriculum issues. We still had concerns with the facility. The facility is at 50 West Brown Street. And the Norristown Academy was to have an enrollment of 1,000 students by the end of their 5-year term. And 50 West Brown only holds 400 students. So we were concerned about that. But again, the issue with the finances and CSMI gave the board great concern. So again, the board denied that revised application. Now, when a school district denies a charter application, the charter school can appeal it to a special agency in Harrisburg called the State Charter Appellate Board. Sometimes we call it CAB. But before they can file their appeal with CAB, they have to submit 1,000 signatures of people who are 18 or older, but who reside in the school district. And so Norristown Academy submitted their signatures. You have to submit it to the local court of common plea. And they did that. And we reviewed those signatures and determined that they had not submitted at least 1,000 signatures. In fact, they were well under that. There were lots of duplication of people's handwriting. There was lots of concerns about, whether certain addresses existed in the district. And so the Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas had a series of hearings over a matter of years, really, to figure out whether or not they, in fact, had submitted enough signatures. Ultimately, the trial judge ruled that they had submitted enough signatures, so he certified that. We appealed that determination to the what's called the Commonwealth Court, our state court system. We have the trial courts, which are by county, and we have our state Supreme Court. In the middle, we have two different kinds of appellate courts. There's one that's called the Commonwealth Court, and it hears any appeals involving local government. The Commonwealth Court is an important court in this case. And so we litigated whether or not the project had erred in deciding they had submitted enough signatures. A full oral argument in Pittsburgh. Commonwealth Court issued a presidential decision saying, yes, Norristown Academy had submitted sufficient signatures. We appealed that to the PA Supreme Court. The way the rules work is everybody's entitled to one appeal from a trial decision, but you are not entitled to have your case heard by the PA Supreme Court. You have to file what's called a petition for review. And we filed that with the PA Supreme Court, and they denied our petition, essentially saying, we are not going to disturb what the Commonwealth Court said. All right. So at that point, the Norristown Academy had properly submitted enough signatures. I think that was about 2024. And so then they appealed to the Charter Appellate Board to go through. So the Charter Appellate Board accepted their appeal, gave us a briefing schedule, and we had a hearing in front of them virtually, I want to say like January of 2025. We had oral argument, a record before them. The Charter Appellate Board affirmed this board's decision to deny the charter. They thought the facility issue was okay. There's a pretty low standard for facilities, not in terms of quality, but just in what you have to do to identify the facility. So they said, you know what, Norristown Academy has identified a building at 50 West Brown. They'll have to come back to the board if they find a bigger building to hold more students or they want a second location. They can do that. I've got to come back to the board. So that we think the board got that wrong, but they agreed with the board that there were problems with the curriculum, that there were things missing from the curriculum, and they shared our concerns about CSMI. One major issue with the for-profit management agreement is that Norristown Academy has signed this contract with CSMI, and there's some pretty hefty, what they call management fees. And if Norristown Academy had to pay the management fees that are listed in the contract, they would have huge deficits. They would not be financially viable. Now, at the hearing back in 2019, we raised this issue with Norristown Academy. They had the CFO of CSMI was there, and he said, look, we're telling you right now, we're going to waive those fees. We are committed here now in public to waive them. And now we were surprised to hear that, but okay. We asked, you have this in writing? Is there some kind of agreement where you've waived it? And they said, we don't need that. We are telling you right now, we are committed to everybody that we are waiving those. So what we had said in our denial was that's, you need that kind of waiving of millions of dollars really should be in writing. Our other concern was, while the CFO definitely said that they were waiving the fees in November of 2019, they went on to sign a new agreement dated May of 2020 that had those same fees in them. So CAB agreed with this board and said, yes, that's wrong. That to say that waiver of that kind of fees should not be in writing doesn't make any sense. It gives us concern. They were also concerned about the relationship of the same attorneys were representing CSMI and Norristown Academy at the zoning hearing about the building. CAB was concerned about that. So essentially they said, look, the agreement between Norristown Academy and CSMI is not arm's length, and we're concerned about the financial viability of the school, and we don't think that they've met the curricular standard. So therefore, we agree with the Norristown Area School District Board. We affirm the denial of the charter. So then Norristown Academy, as is their right, appealed that decision back to the Commonwealth Court. You remember the Commonwealth Court handles these kinds of appeals. And again, we had oral argument in front of the Commonwealth Court. Commonwealth Court overturned the Charter Appellate. What they said was, we disagree with the Charter Appellate Board. We think that Norristown Academy does have a good enough curriculum, that the errors that both the district found and the CAB found, they basically disagreed with them. They said, we looked at the curriculum and we think it's fine. And they did not have a problem with the financial arrangements between Norristown Academy and CSMI. They said, it's fine to have for-profit people running schools, and we think the waiver is fine, and we think it met the standard. So they ruled against, again, remember CAB had already ruled against the district's denial based on the facility. And now the Commonwealth Court said, we don't think there are any problems with the curriculum, and we're fine with these financial arrangements. So therefore, we reverse the Charter Appellate Board, and we order the Charter Appellate Board to order the school district to issue a charter. And that decision came down in November of last year, of 25. So then we appealed that decision to the PA Supreme Court. We pointed out the factual errors that we thought existed in CAB's or the Commonwealth Court's decision, particularly about the waiver and then the revised application. We argued against Commonwealth Court's findings as far as curriculum goes, but the PA Supreme Court then decided in June they weren't going to hear that case. They were going to allow the Commonwealth Court's decision to stay in place. There's no more appeals then for the school district. PA Supreme Court is the last word on the state law. So because they denied our petition for review, that meant that the Commonwealth Court's order was in full effect. They had ordered the Charter Appellate Board to order us to issue the charter. And the Charter Appellate Board then dutifully did that on July 8th. So the chair of the Charter Appellate Board is actually the State Secretary of Education. So she issued us an order that said we have to issue a charter. And so that's what brings us here tonight. And the law is clear that if we don't issue a charter within 10 days of such an order, then the Charter Appellate Board itself is simply empowered to issue. But of course, my recommendation is comply with the court order. And we issue the charter, we have it here. And then once we issue the charter, then Norristown Academy can operate its school and we'll have our oversight rights as the issue. But we're here.
Mr. Musso, is that, I just want to clarify that for the
Yeah.
audience, right? So if we were to vote no in violation of what is the Secretary of Education has ordered us to do, the oversight for the charter would proceed. The oversight would reside in Harrisburg. Oversight would not reside locally. So I think what you will see is a number of board members, and they will each speak for themselves, agreeing to the charter because it retains local oversight. This is not a decision I think that anybody here wants, but the options are not good.
To the board, want to open up the opportunity to fire questions at Mr. Amuso, just so we can clarify if there's anything for the public as well. One of the questions I have
Yes.
here is you spoke to these hefty fees.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you can talk, not exactly, but when you say hefty fees, what are we talking about for the public's awareness?
I mean, millions of dollars. I know that if they had to pay all the fees that are in the contract, they would have a deficit of about $10 million at the end of the 5 year. But it's kind of an escalating fee and it's per student. But it definitely, by the end, it's millions of dollars a year that is simply paid to CSMI for what they're doing to manage.
And CSMI is a for-profit.
For profit,
entity.
right. So the people who own CSMI would get that money as profit. I mean, look, I assume they're paying people and whatnot, but whatever is profit for those fees, they would get.
I actually have those numbers here. So year one, this is in the document. CSMI shall waive its management fee and no management fee shall be charged. B, for year two, the management fee shall be $350,000. For year three, the management fee shall be $1,650,000. For year four, the management fee shall be $3 million. And for year five, the management fee shall be $4,500,000. So if you're getting those sorts of fees and you're taking those off the top, how much are you really going to spend on educating children? So, Mr. Amuso, if I recall correctly, CSMI operates another charter school in Chester?
They do. They manage the Chester Community Charter School, correct?
Okay. And this is the same charter school that I believe, according to the Philadelphia Inquirer in March of 25, 20 employees of that school district were charged with child abuse.
Not of the school district.
So of
Yeah,
that
charter
school, of that charter school, correct. So between the fees, the track record, in my mind, are terrible outcomes. I have a slide that compares the outcomes of Norristown Proficient and Advanced versus CSMI in Chester. The outcomes are atrocious. So I just want to encourage anybody, like, if you're considering this as a charter or an option for your child, do not do that. And I'm happy to have that discussion with anybody here in the room.
And I'd also like to say, this is not Renaissance. This is not a replica of Renaissance. If anything, it's trying to, if there are Renaissance parents, I'm a Renaissance alum, go after Renaissance. So I want to make it clear, Renaissance is a college preparatory school. This is a for-profit, let's make money in a poor neighborhood with a high Black and Latino population, much like is in Chester. I want to implore you, as someone who went to a charter like Renaissance, do not send your kids here. It will be abysmal. It will be disastrous. I think that if you're looking for other options, there are plenty of options in our county and likewise within the school district. But if you're going to make a decision that's going to impact your child for the rest of their lives because you're not satisfied with the district, I would not within a million years, recommend you send your kid there whatsoever, especially with their academic outcomes and their poor management. It's clear that they're just trying to rob us.
To the board, we want everybody to hear these things for sure. For this time right now, if we can keep it to questions for Mr. Amuso, and then once we make a motion, we can talk about and kind of run down some of these things that are obviously concerns for all of us.
Mr. Russo, could you speak to the governance authority that would be forfeited by this board if we refuse the charter?
Sure. So if we do not authorize this charter, then we are not the authorizing body. And the charter school law gives lots of authority to the authorizing body to get information from the charter school. We can get reports and data. We can review that because we have authorized their charter. Ultimately, depending on the performance of the school, we would be able to conduct non-renewal hearings if that was warranted. But if you don't authorize charter, I mean, there certainly would be an excellent argument that we don't have oversight because we aren't the charter authorizing body. So you really risk just ceding that authority entirely to the Charter Appellate Board in Harrisburg. And look, the Charter Appellate Board in Harrisburg, it's not designed to oversee the granulars of any individual charter school. Their mission is simply to approve or deny charters, look at the appeal. So if the Secretary of Education issues the charter, then there's a good argument, I won't concede it entirely, that it's really the Harrisburg has. So we certainly weaken our any oversight, and probably.
Question for you, Mr. Amuso. Being as the Charter Appellate Board affirmed this board's decision to deny the charter, of all the bodies that this case has kind of gone through and sat before, is it a safe conclusion to say that the Charter Appellate Board has the most expertise on whether or not a charter should be approved or not approved in terms of a accumulation of the people that this case has sat before? Is that an accurate assumption?
Look, I mean, the Charter Appellate Board is part of the Department of Education. The Secretary of Education is part of it. He has a vote. Certainly, it's closest to the expertise. It's made up of teachers and some other people appointed. I mean, look, I don't want to. The Commonwealth Court has the full authority to overturn the Charter Appellate Board, and I have no doubt that the judges of the Commonwealth Court acted in good faith and made a review. So I have to follow the order of the Commonwealth Court. The Department of Education, closer to education expertise, on a daily basis, sure. And certainly those look at it most closely. But Commonwealth Court certainly looked at this closely. I've no doubt. I'm not sure the backgrounds of the Commonwealth Court judges that heard the case, but it's kind of irrelevant. Our duly elected Commonwealth Court judge have the. I know one judge in particular said that she. But again, the Board of Education have the daily expertise in the area. Yeah, but that doesn't make the Commonwealth Court system less powerful. Yeah.
Any other questions of Mr. Amuso, board members? Or we will have time to share our thoughts for sure, but any other questions?
Are the management fees tied to enrollment?
I believe they are.
Can we be sure?
I'd have to look at the agreement. I mean, I can look and get you that answer. The agreement is what the agreement agreed to waive the fees. So the fees are
They've agreed to waive the fees in the first year.
in the first year, and then these fees, I think, show even a reduction from the agreement they have.
But the question was, are the management fees prorated against enrollment?
I'll have to get that.
Okay.
It sounds like it is based on it increasing your.
I mean, it would have to be. It would have to be the only way that they get funds is by enrollment. So.
Any other questions, board members of Mr. Amuso? Okay. That being said, we're going to move on to item Yes. Item 1.4, public comments. And Dr. Williams, do we have anyone registered to make public comment this evening?
Yes, we have 5 residents.
All right. So that being said, in accordance with policy 903, this round of public comment is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on matters of concern, on proposed official actions as listed on tonight's agenda, or on deliberation prior to any official action by the board. We want to clarify that as this reads, the public comments would be about what the business that this board is attending to tonight. That's what the public comment should be focused on based on policy 903. Individuals wishing to address the board must have registered prior to the start of the meeting, stating the topic they wish to address as part of tonight's meeting. Individuals must be physically present at the meeting to register their intent and to make public comment. Once recognized and called to make public comment, individuals must state their name, whether they are resident or non-resident, and group affiliation if applicable. Each individual will be limited to 3 minutes. Public comment shall be directed to the presiding officer. Statements or questions may not be directed at other board members or district staff. Public comment is not a question and answer session. Please do not take a lack of a response as a lack of interest. The board or the administration may follow up as needed. No placards or banners are permitted in the meeting room. Please see full board policy 903, public participation at meetings, for additional information.
I apologize in advance if I mispronounced. First, person for public comment, Natalia Lebron.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natalia Naranjo. I'm a resident and an alumni of this district. I had something prepared for today. This feels like a hostage situation. This feels like our hands are tied behind our back and we're being thrown into an ocean. It feels like we don't have a say up against the state of Pennsylvania. And our kids are at stake. Not only is their education at stake, their safety is at stake. There were more than 26 kids that were at the hands of abuse in that charter school. 2 of those other charter schools have been shut down because of how much of a failure they were for those kids. The CEO of that company wrote himself an $11 million check from our public school funds. And we are sitting here in this room because we don't have an option. I want to throw up. We fought for months to get $1 million. We got more than that for our kids for literacy in this district. And we're going to see somebody come in and take tens of millions of dollars a year from our kids in a school district that is barely standing up financially. How dare they? How dare you? We need to do better. I want to fight. I want you to fight with me as school board members, as admin, as teachers, as principals who listen to this meeting. I want to fight whatever it takes to ensure that our kids get the proper education that they deserve in our district. I want to do that. I want to make sure that we have not only what we need for them, but that people aren't coming in and taking the very little resources that we have. Our kids deserve it. Our parents deserve it. Our teachers deserve it. This is going to have decade-long implication for our kids and for our people. So I urge you to fight. I urge you to take comfort in community. There are many people who could not be here tonight and many people who want to be a part of this fight because it's not fair. And I don't want to go down drowning. I want to go down fighting. So I urge you as school board, as everyone again in this room, that we go down with a fight because it's not fair. And our kids can't fight for themselves, but we can do that. Thank you.
Next, we have Liz Burton.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Liz Brunton. I am a 35-year resident of Norristown, a proud mom of a 2013 graduate. And I've been with Power also since 2015. I'm here with Power and as well as a resident to speak out against this charter, which I know we are all on the same page, it seems. It's coming, and it's clear, though, that the residents and you don't want this charter. It is clear that there's a concern on your part and certainly now on our part, as well as CAB, of the type of education that this company is going to provide for our children. And not to mention the significant amount of money that comes out of the budget in order for it to function and for it to earn the profit that it is so hungry for. We have fought and struggled for nearly a decade to address the inadequate funding in Pennsylvania. The inadequate funding that was tragically and probably maybe still is delineated by the racial makeup of the district. We recently secured your commitment, and we thank you for your commitment to provide essential services to our students. And I'm an old lady now. I have a 31-year-old son, but I live in the borough and I love my neighbors, and they have needs just as my son had needs when he was in Norristown. The last thing that we can afford right now is to take our feet off the gas after this win and to take our eyes off the business of this company, this business who only seeks to privatize and make money off of our children's backs. Please hear our concerns. I think we are all on the same team here, but please proceed with transparency and with every tool in your toolbox to hold them accountable, because education is not a business. It's a sacred right. We just celebrated 250 years. Public education is not quite that old, but it is driven by the rights of our children, the rights of our community, to build better citizens and to help all of us lift everyone up. Thank you.
Next, we have Patrice Carpio. Thank you.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Beatriz Carpio y yo también soy parte de Power Interfaith. Y antes de escuchar lo que ustedes estaban aclarando, en mi mente venían otras ideas que quería cuestionar. Al momento de escuchar lo que ustedes ya nos tratan de explicar, yo como madre de familia soy consciente de que no sabía mucho acerca de esta situación, pero también como madre traté de investigar, de leer. Y como madre y como madre latina, me preocupa que esta compañía venga a lavar el cerebro a nosotros, a las personas que a lo mejor no tienen esa información.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. My name is Beatriz Carpio. I initially had, I'm here with Power Interfaith. I initially had something else to share, but after hearing the history and everything that has gone into this, I want to share a bit more about the research that I've been doing, about learning more about charter schools, about what it'll mean to have this here. And I want to be precautious as a mom in this district of the brainwashing that can take place, of the way that they sell this type of charter school to our kids.
Muchas familias probablemente no tienen la información acerca de esto y probablemente les puedan decir que van a tener mejor educación. Inconscientemente quieran cambiar a sus hijos a esas escuelas, que realmente yo creo que no es así con lo que estoy escuchando. Es monstruoso lo que escuché acerca de los abusos. Y no me gustaría que alguna comunidad, cualquier tipo de cultura, no nada más la latina, pero especial, hablo por nosotros porque en ocasiones probablemente somos nuevos en manejar este sistema.
And by that, I mean, there's a lot of parents that are not going to get the same type of information. There's a lot of information that is not going to trickle down to everybody. And it feels like there's going to be a lot of people are going to want this, right? People are not going to know all of the information of what was shared this evening. And it feels monstrous to see all of the abuses and all of the incidences that are happening at these other charter schools, to then say that something like that is coming here. I can't speak for all the cultures, but I know that for me in the Latino community, having more information is helpful, but it doesn't always come down to us. It doesn't always get to us.
Yo estoy segura que ustedes van a tomar la decisión más correcta para el beneficio de todos los niños, no para ustedes mismos, sino para nuestros hijos. Y si nosotros como comunidad tenemos que luchar, tenemos que ayudar y tenemos que apoyar, cuenten conmigo y con las personas que yo conozco y que voy a motivar para que se unan a esto. Gracias.
And so I want to keep fighting. I know it's going to take a lot, but I want you to know that you can count on me and you can count on the people that I know to fight against something like this coming in and to make a change in what we feel like is a helpless situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Dwayne Moser.
Good evening. I'm Dwayne Mosier. I'm the pastor of the Reformed Church of the Ascension United Church of Christ, just a few blocks away. And I've been a resident here in the Norristown area for over 30 years. And I am so proud to say this is my home and that I am part of this community. And for the work we've done, I want to thank the board for the work you're doing. We understand the difficulty of decision that is before you, and we want to be here in support of the decisions you are going to be making tonight. As Mrs. Brunton said, Ascension has been part of Power. We are a founding congregation of Power, and 15 years ago we started working on this issue of funding our education because we knew that in the wealthy county of Montgomery, there were districts like Norristown that was severely underfunded and that were disregarded. I think it's appalling that the county seat of Montgomery County had that. And so I thank you for the work you all have done, the work we've done. You know, when we started, one of the first things we did was go visit a county commissioner, Josh Shapiro. So we've been working at this for a long time. It is not something new. And we just want you to know that we understand the decisions you're making. We still have questions about the funding. We still have questions about the facilities. We still have questions about the for-profit nature of the management. And we're not going to give up looking and talking and working and struggling and fighting to make sure that things are done right. Because the most important thing is our children and that they get the education they deserve. You know, when I was in first and second grade, I learned about certain things that happen, like 1 + 1 is 2, and it's always 2. 2 + 2 is 4, and it's always 4. You need that foundation of understanding and education, and we want to build a school in this community that is giving not only a few children a good education, but we want every child in this community to receive the best education you can. And that means that the funds that we have coming out of our taxes, which because of the nature of our community are higher on our residents and in a lot of other school districts, we want to make sure that all of that money is going to do what it's supposed to do, which is educate our children. And so Power is here, and Power wants to be supportive of decisions that have to be made, but Power is working for our schools, and we will continue to look and fight for things that aren't being done properly, things that aren't being done well, and things that need to be improved. So thank you.
Next, we have Kia Johnson.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kay Johnson. I'm a resident of the district. I'm here with Power Interfaith. I'm here to speak out against the charter school coming to Norristown and the impact that it will have. Charter schools historically have taken millions of dollars out of public school budgets and statistically have not given a better education to the students in the district they are in. This specific charter company has charter schools that have underperformed and not shown the improvement promised to parents, and has had multiple schools shut down because of their lack of improvement. I want to see better options for our kids. I'm not pro charter or against charter. I'm against terrible charters that are just in it for profit and take money away from the students they're supposed to educate. My message to the board is I want to see a clear vision, and we want to work with you guys to see what we can offer the kids, what options we can offer. moving forward that will improve literacy, math, and give them a well-rounded education within the district and prepare them for what comes next. Charter schools are this charter school is not the solution. It's not a fix for the issues we're facing in the district. I know the vote tonight is not about whether or not we get this charter, but moving forward, there has to be clear communication about how this charter is being monitored. I know there is some information the board's not going to be able to share with us or with the public, but the information that can be shared does need to be shared. We're asking you to be accountable to community and let us know what our tax dollars are being used for with this charter. I was kind of sad to see that there wasn't a statement from our acting superintendent during this whole thing. The meeting thing was posted, but that was it. And you guys gave a lot of information during this meeting in the beginning. Thank you for that. Some of that information could have been given prior to the meeting so people could know about it, digest it, come up with questions that they have based on the answers that you gave. So just being more forward and transparent and just involve the community. Like, we're here. We want to be partners. We want to help. We want this district to be better. We want the kids to stay in district and get the education they need so that they can be successful members of society. I'm an alumni. I graduated 3 kids from this school. This is my community. It's not just about my kid or your kid. It's about all the kids. This is a community. And that's what we want here.
All right. Moving on to agenda item 2.1. So we will have an opportunity for public comment after we go through this process. Yeah, but then we'll love to hear what you have to say. Okay, gotcha. Moving on to agenda item 2.1, compliance with the order, issue the charter to Norristown Academy Charter School. Do I have a motion to comply with the July 8th, 2026 order of the State Charter School Appeal Board to issue Norristown Academy Charter School a charter as presented pursuant to section 1720A of the Charter School Law?
So moved.
I think Ms. Oh, my.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you.
It's time for Clay. So, Director Daniels. Motion. Director Hill. Make something. All right. Yep. Second. Can I see that? Director Howard. All right. This is our opportunity to be able to, at the beginning of the meeting, I said, ask questions. So now's the opportunity. We can still, yeah, we still do. But now's the opportunity to, if we have any questions for Mr. Musso. Also for us to be able to express the concerns that we have that have not yet been expressed. So I want to open the floor to that.
Mr. Musso, I just want to, because how I feel personally about this, you know, I don't like to virtue signal or anything, but, you know, if the community, like, if the community is generally saying like, hey, we don't want this, but now that we're going forward with this, like, what does me, like, how does me voting yes signal, is it just simply I'm just in compliance? Because honestly, how I feel is everyone knows what's happening. We're being robbed, right? We're being robbed. And so I just personally would like to know how my vote would reflect based on how my constituents feel versus how the Commonwealth Court feel. Like, I just really want to square that before casting my vote. Like, I just, what would be the ramifications of, say, one person voting no or versus everyone else voting in favor?
Okay, well, again, as the board solicitor, I recommend that we comply with order of the court, approve this charter. If you were to vote no and everyone else votes yes, then are in compliance with that charter. If the board were to vote no, then the law does allow for the chair of Charter Appellate Board, State Secretary of Education issue. But again, my strongest possible recommendation, comply with the law, have full and ample opportunity to litigate this. Commonwealth Court, elected faith, however we respectfully disagree with their decision, has ordered the Charter Appellate Board to order us. I recommend you do it. Don't. Charter Appellate Board. Yes. Question? Or?
No, I was gonna maybe try to answer Jordan's question for you on, you know, why each one of us should probably why each one of us. I think that's the question. And I'll put it back to Natalia. I think it was you that said, or one of the speakers that said, you know, one of the things that they expect us to do is to bring every tool in the toolbox to bear, to make sure that, you know, people that we know are bad actors, you know, that we suspect aren't going to run a learning institution well, that they want us to bring every tool in the toolbox to hold them accountable. I think if we vote no, we leave all of our tools at home. I think, you know, the irony in this is the only way for us to really truly hold them accountable is to vote. Allow it to say, got your charter. I certainly wouldn't be doing this if I was not court ordered to do so. You know, I spent a good week trying to think about, do I defy the courts as much as I believe that, you know, we are or should be a nation of laws, not of opinions. You know, my gut belief is that when you're ordered by a court to do something, do it out of respect for the courts, out of respect for the law that's supposed to govern us all. I certainly spend a lot of time railing against federal government that doesn't seem to take courts very seriously. You know, how could I then turn around and say, I'm not going to follow the court order either? But nevertheless, I did think about that in this. You know, there was a time sometimes for civil disobedience, which is what a no vote would be in my mind. And I would have gone there, frankly, if we weren't leaving the decision making up to somebody in Harrisburg that I don't think has our best interest at heart. And I would vote, and if that's what would happen. We would be leaving all those tools in the box. We couldn't go in and look at their financial numbers. We couldn't go in and ask them we couldn't do audits. None of that stuff we can do if we vote no. That is the sole reason why that's a good moral stand for why we could all sit down and when our constituents go up to us and say, how could you do that? That we can stand on that with honor and with dignity. That's why I'm going to. I was with you.
One of the things, as I have reflected over this process, right, I was so excited when we passed the budget with the new positions, the literacy coaches, the reading specialists, and the other positions that this district so badly needs. I was so excited when we hired Dr. Green. We, after a long search, found just a blue chip first round draft pick. And the next day to get word that this came down, it felt like, if anybody remembers the feeling, what it feels like to get the wind knocked out of you, because it was like, the winds at our back, there's some good things happening. And then this was just like a punch in the stomach. And I think I wouldn't go to a restaurant. I wouldn't buy a pair of shoes if there was a track record of this restaurant being terrible, or if these shoes perform terribly. And there is a track record of this organization performing terribly. As it's been mentioned by some of the public comment, there is multiple schools that have been shut down because of their performance. As Director Daniels mentioned, there have been people arrested because of child abuse. Like, the performance of the charters that are run by this organization underperform the districts in very low performing districts in the areas that they are at. They are not coming to the table with lots to offer. So for those reasons, the safety, the performance, the financial situation, I think it is an accurate depiction to call this, Natalia, you said, a hostage situation. This is a hostage situation. And the statement about every tool in your toolbox to hold them accountable, I completely agree with you, Bill. That was a great statement. That ultimately defines why I feel like we need to vote. We have to vote yes, because I can't leave tools. I feel like the corner that we are going to turn because of some of the changes that we've been making. I think the proof will be in the pudding for folks to be able to, if they want to compare apples to apples, to say, because at some point in time, people were frustrated. And so this organization thought, you know what, we can capitalize on the frustration of folks because there is dissent. There is some things not happening. So parents need another choice. Now, all charter organizations and all charter schools are not created equal. And as Ms. Johnson stated, this one, you know, if you go on vacation, anywhere you go, you look at reviews. And if you look at the reviews for this place, they are abysmal. So I say all that to say, I think it echoes and says again, but I wanted to say out loud of my mouth that it does sicken me that this is the situation we find ourselves in. I have hope because of the community, because of some of the things that we've been putting in place, that we have an eye on turning the corner for some performance that has taken place, that despite this hostage situation, that at the end of the day, we'll be able to come out better on top of this. And we will not allow, to quote a famous line, do not be overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. And I believe that we, as a community, can do that in the face of this foolishness.
And I want to reiterate, this is not Renaissance. Renaissance is the #1 charter in the state, and a lot of people in this community have sent their kids here. This is a disaster. I implore you to not send your kids there. If I would probably go sit and learn from a tree than to learn from these people. I would not send your kids there. And again, like the president said, we are turning a corner. It's not happening tomorrow. It's not happening next week, but we are certainly rounding that corner, especially with the appointments we've made. But again, implore you to tell your community members to do their research, to rally against us being robbed of our resources. And again, before people, parents make whatever decision they think is best for their kid, but I really encourage you, wherever you sign your kid up for kindergarten or wherever school, do your research on that is.
I'd like to say something. I don't think you're going to find any of my colleagues who are going to say that this decision that we're being forced to make is a good one. We are all in agreement, I think, that this is a dismal situation. It is one that, as a district, we shouldn't be faced with. We fought hard to get where we are now. We have just received additional funds from the state with the budget that has been passed. And we're looking to do good things here in Norristown for our kids in the district. To be able to sit back now and say with the possibility that some of these kids will go to the charter school, I would say to this organization, find those 1,000 people that supposedly signed the petition to start this school. Find them now. Find them to see if they even live in the district now. Find them, see if they're still in agreement to go to this charter school. And then when they're identified, have them compare Norristown to this charter school. If I'm comparing schools, I'm not going to send my child to a school that is less proficient than the one that they're already at. Why am I sending? And so I say to you, those who are here that are not in agreement, go back and tell others why. Go back and tell them why you made the decision that you made, that you're not going to send your kid, or as a pastor, you're not going to encourage your congregation to send their kid. What I would like for us to do as a district is clearly look at all the positive changes that are being made in the Norristown School District. Look at the things that we are doing. We have a leader that we think will help us turn this district around. He can't do it by himself. It's going to take the administration, it's going to take staff, it's going to take parents, teachers, students, everyone to be engaged for us to make the progress that we know that we can make. And taking these additional funds out of our district to put them somewhere that we know is not sufficient and is, rated so low is a tragedy for our district. And so, whereas you may see us do what we have been court mandated to do, know that we're doing it with our hands tied behind our back, because if there was any other decision that we could have made, we would have made it. Thank you.
I think one thing that's worth noting is the fact that this charter school will not open tomorrow, right? The clock, if we vote yes to approve this charter, the clock starts today, but staffing, facilities, there has to be a process in order for this school to open. So in terms of the likelihood of it being around for this coming school year, slim to none. However, just to put out there, this isn't happening. So there is an opportunity for us to speak to our neighbors and to speak to our congregations, and even for the community to be able to see what does Norristown offer and bring to the table under new leadership to be able to compare. So I do want to put that out there because this isn't happening tomorrow. It's not happening next week. We do have some time, but it is a sobering opportunity to say, okay, with that time, what will we do to be able to make sure that with that time we use it wisely to prevent the atrocity of even a single student enrolling in a place? Because wouldn't it be phenomenal if the community so educated each other and there was such a amount of information put out there that not one person was hoodwinked or bamboozled or duped into signing something that would say your child needs to walk through the doors of this place? And it would be great if they would just then go back where they came from. We could all move on and focus on the business at hand, which is with the schools that we know have administrators and we know have staff and we know have a governing body that wants them to be successful and well prepared and isn't in it for profit.
And certified teacher.
Yes, certified teacher. Wouldn't it be great? Nobody signed up.
And even with that, they're looking for 200 students the first year. Can they find 200 students in the Norristown district that want to attend? Are you willing to go back to your neighborhood and say, hey, I think you should be in this inaugural class, then your child?
Any other?
I think Sharon, you want to go to try now?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you now.
Okay, I just want to say that I have been following this since before I was on the board many years ago. And I don't know of anyone who has been an active parent within the district who has thought this was a good idea. And I would like to also a little shout out to our solicitor, Peter Amuso, and his team over at Clark, Gallagher, Barbaro, Amuso, and Glassman Law for the hard work and the dedication that they have supported us with to make sure this wasn't going to happen. It's not just our community, it's others outside of the community that don't want this coming in. Because if you look at the other districts that have had these charter schools in them, I don't think there's anyone in those districts that was happy that those charter schools came in. So I'm hoping that if we can avoid having our students go there, that we don't have to be on the sad side of it afterwards and have the devastation that some of these districts have faced. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, concern, board members that you would like to express before we put this to a vote?
Is there any way that we can hire a firm or partner with another company to monitor? Because we have full access to this charter school once we make this vote, right? Go ahead, for their data and their everything in the school.
Yeah, no, we're the authorizing agency, so
we're
we're
all,
certainly
so
allowed to.
is there any way that we can hire an agency or tag team with community members to make sure all the things that happened in the past don't happen again?
We can certainly talk about that. I mean, it's up to the board. I don't know that we need to hire an additional company. I mean, we, have expert administrators, something we can look into and discuss.
We
I
would be
think we're capable of.
So we'll be the ones in charge of
Yes,
making sure it runs well.
correct.
I mean,
No.
we're not in charge of making sure it runs well. We're entitled to have information. If we think there are problems,
Right.
There are processes that we try to address those problems. Let me be clear, we're issuing a charter, and the point of the charter school law is that the school then is allowed to operate. So they can operate, we don't manage them day to day or anything like that. They're exempt from a lot of laws. However, as the authorizing entity, we are entitled to information for request and for the provide. If the problems there, we'll deal with it as we're allowed to. We do not run it day to day. I manage it day to day. We are not responsible for what happens within those walls. But we are entitled to information. Are there off?
Peter, could you give a concrete example for the public of a way that we, as the authorizing entity, be able to leverage the fact that we're the authorizing entity?
I don't think we're going to leverage anything, and I know you didn't mean it like that. I mean, we will ensure that they comply with the charter school law. I think a good example of something that I think we'll have to do, and the Commonwealth Court recognized this, as did CAB. I mean, the current facility just simply isn't big enough for the school. So eventually, if they want to expand beyond 400 students, they have to come back to us, and we have to improve their new location. And so we will do that properly. And as the authorizing entity, and it's recognized by the court, we'll make sure that the location they pick is safe for kids, appropriate for a school. That's a good example. Another example is, if warranted, and prejudgment on this, but if warranted, there is a non-renewal process for a charter school where I think, it doesn't look like, they're operating well, the scores of the kids aren't good, there's other concerns. There's a process by which we can not renew their charter. It's a 5-year charter, so we're not required to extend their charter. If they're not operating well, we would vote to non-renew. They could then appeal that, and they could operate while that appeal is pending. But that's another concrete.
I mean, the Commonwealth has seen charters revoked. I'm thinking Philadelphia had one.
Yeah, Philadelphia is certainly the locus for the most part.
So it's having that ability is important.
Any other comments or questions? Anybody on the board going once, going twice? Okay. With that being said, Mr. Mayo, may we please have a roll call?
Mr. Alexander,
No.
Mr. Caldwell, Mr. Dale, Mr. Daniels,
Aye.
Ms. Helma,
Aye.
Mr. Howe, Ms. Parker,
Aye.
Ms. Davenport,
Aye.
Mr. Lemke.
Even though this goes against every fiber in my being, yes.
That motion has been approved.
All right. That being said, we've reached that point in time in the meeting where there is a second opportunity for public comment. So if we have anybody that would like to make public comments, and please come to the podium. And that being the case, let me read this statement one more time that the lawyers make me read. And we'd love to hear from you. All right. In accordance with policy 903, this round of public comment is an additional opportunities for individuals who wish to comment on agenda items discussed earlier in the meeting or to share additional matters of concern. Individuals may be recognized at the discretion of the presiding officer during this section of the meeting agenda. Individuals wishing to make public comment at this time must be physically present in the meeting room. Once recognized and called to make public comment, individuals must state their name, whether they are a resident or non-resident, and group affiliation if applicable. Each individual will be limited to 3 minutes. Public comment shall be directed to the presiding officer. Statements or questions may not be directed at other board members or district staff. Public comment is not a question and answer session. Please do not take a lack of response as a lack of interest. The board or the administration may follow up as needed. No placards or banners are permitted in the meeting room. Please see full board policy 903, public participation at meetings for additional information. Please state your name and whether you're a resident.
Well, what I want to say, I don't know, I have my statement in, more than a statement is a personal opinion about what is happening.
Can you tell
So
us?
I have in English and Spanish.
What's your name?
My name is Iret Garcia, and I am actually one of the teachers from the middle school. I'm teaching Spanish at the Eisenhower Middle School. And what I'm going to say is pretty much for the parents that they are right now listening and viewing what is happening tonight. So I don't know if because I have only 3 minutes, should I say it in Spanish, in English?
However you feel would be best for the audience, but whatever you want to do.
We can translate.
Yeah, take the 3 minutes and we'll translate.
Okay, so, all right, well, like I said, my name is Iret, and Iret Garcia. I'm teaching Spanish at Eisenhower Middle School. I've been living in this neighborhood for 26 years. I have 2 kids, and my kids are actually, they graduated from the Norristown area high school. So I'm here tonight to urge this board and our entire community to look past the marketing and closely examine the severe economic damage this new charter school infrastructure will inflict on the working class families of Norristown. Supporters romanticize the concept of a school choice while completely ignoring the harsh financial reality on the ground. But the reality is that the choice to build this school comes with a massive bill, and the bill falls on the backs of the local residents. Norristown is a lower middle income working class community already facing intense cost of living pressures. Our taxpayers are already funding outside options. Right now, we are writing massive tuition checks out of our local funds for the students traveling to regional charters like the Renaissance Academy, a school that is already holding over 1,000 students from the Norristown district and has many others on a waiting list expecting to have a seat in the near future. What happens when we build a second charter school right in our backyard, we break that barrier wide open, draining away millions more in per student tuition to found a brand new local infrastructure, which will force this district to repeatedly raise property taxes to keep our traditional public schools buildings open. These tax hikes do not just hurt homeowners. In a rental market like ours, landlords will pass these rising property tax bills straight down to the tenants, directly driving up monthly rents and squeezing families who are already struggling to keep a roof over their heads. But what makes this truly unacceptable that this public money isn't staying in Norristown to help our kids. A massive portion of the tax dollars will leave our district to go directly towards the corporate management fees, executive salaries, and interest on facility loans held by the outside developer and for-profit entities like the CSMI. None, none of them live or pay residential taxes here. I'm talking about the people. We are the ones paying the price while outsiders take the profits. Our local funds are being pulled out of underserved community just to line corporate pockets. These leave families in Norristown dealing with higher rents, raising taxes, and a few resources in our classroom. It's about time to focus in what is our community really needs. So I have a question. Where is the gain for the people of Norristown? I leave that question for you. Finally, I know this is a done deal. However, I encourage you as a parent to keep our students in the Norristown district so we can maintain our staff and funding on the right track. I have it in Spanish. I don't know. I'm gonna try, okay. Buenas noches, miembros de la Junta Directiva y demás residentes de Norristown. Estoy aquí esta noche para instar a esta junta directiva y a toda nuestra comunidad a que miren más allá del marketing y examinen detenidamente el grave daño económico que esta nueva infraestructura de escuelas charter infringirá sobre las familias de clase trabajadora de Norristown. Los defensores de este proyecto idealizan el concepto de libre elección de escuela, ignorando por completo la dura realidad financiera. La realidad es que la decisión de construir esta escuela conlleva un costo enorme y ese costo recae directamente sobre los residentes locales. Norristown es una comunidad de bajos y medianos ingresos, es una clase trabajadora que ya enfrenta una intensa presión por el costo de vida. Nuestros contribuyentes ya están financiando opciones externas. En este momento se está emitiendo enormes cheques con fondos locales para pagar la matrícula de estudiantes de quienes viajan a escuelas charter regionales como la Renaissance Academy, una escuela que ya cuenta con más de 1,000 estudiantes del distrito de Norristown y tiene a muchos otros en lista de espera, con la esperanza de obtener un lugar en un futuro próximo. ¿Qué sucede cuando construimos una segunda escuela charter justo en nuestro propio barrio? Rompemos esa barrera y permitimos que se desvíen millones de dólares de los alumnos matriculados del distrito escolar de Norristown para financiar una infraestructura local completamente nueva que obligará a este distrito a aumentar repetidamente los impuestos a la propiedad para mantener abiertos nuestros edificios escolares públicos tradicionales. Estos aumentos de impuestos no solo perjudican a los propietarios en un mercado de alquiler como el nuestro, los arrendadores, las personas que rentan, van a trasladar estos aumentos a los impuestos directamente de sus inquilinos, elevando directamente el alquiler mensual de un departamento o casa y asfixiando a las familias que ya luchan por mantener un techo sobre sus cabezas. Pero lo verdaderamente inaceptable es que este dinero público no se quede en Norristown para ayudar a nuestros hijos. Una gran parte de los impuestos saldrá de nuestro distrito para destinarse directamente a honorarios de gestión corporativa, salarios de ejecutivos e intereses sobre préstamos para poner en marcha instalaciones que están en manos de promotores externos y entidades con fines de lucro. Ojo, ninguna de las cuales ninguno de las personas que es parte de este corporativo reside aquí ni paga impuestos sobre la propiedad. Somos nosotros quienes pagamos las consecuencias mientras los de fuera se llevan las ganancias. Nuestros fondos locales se están desviando de nuestra comunidad marginada solo para enriquecer a las grandes corporaciones. Esto deja a las familias de Norristown lidiando con alquileres más altos, impuestos en aumento y menos recursos en nuestras aulas. Ya es hora de que nos enfoquemos en lo que nuestra comunidad realmente necesita. Así que les tengo una pregunta, padres de familia. ¿Dónde está el beneficio para la gente de Norristown? Finalmente sé que esto ya ya está decidido. Sin embargo, les animo a que mantengan a nuestros estudiantes en el distrito de Norristown para que podamos mantener a nuestro personal y nuestra financiación por el buen camino. Gracias.
Anybody else make public comment this evening?
Hi, I'm Kia Johnson again. I do want to welcome you, Dr. Green, and let you know that our school board meetings are not like funerals usually. This is not how they usually are. I just want to say that the school district in this last couple months has done great things. New leadership, they're doing great things with sports. I don't think I've seen this much with off-season summer sports and things like that. Like our academic program is coming together. We fought together and came together to get literacy specialists, literacy coaches. There are so many great things that are happening in this district right now at this point that I would hope people would keep their kids in the district and work with the district to help make our community better. There's great things happening. I'm sure everyone sees the Facebook posts and the things that are happening with athletics, with academics, the second grade reading program, the kindergarten program is back. There's so many things going on. If you don't know what's going on, get in touch with somebody. Reach out to a school board member. Reach out to anybody, like anybody in the district. Like, reach out to me if you need to. I will help you find resources and information to help your child stay in the district and get the education they deserve. We are doing so many great things, and I don't want that overshadowed by what's going on here. Like, we had to do a thing. We don't like it. Doesn't seem like anybody likes it. But we're still going to be a great district, and we're going to do what we need to do to overcome this and continue to fight for our kids.
Thank you. Anybody else? Public comment? Going once, going twice? All right, may I have a motion to adjourn tonight's special session? Anybody second? All right. Motion by Howell, second by. All right, all in favor? Aye. Being adjourned. Everybody. Yes. Oh.